Breathe for a moment, not the hurried breath you've been using all day, but a slow one. The kind that reminds your body it is still here, still alive, still capable of change. You may have arrived at this moment carrying a quiet exhaustion, not always visible, not always dramatic, just a weight that has settled inside you over years. The weight of rushing, the weight of reacting, the weight of trying to be everything for everyone while slowly losing yourself. Perhaps no one ever taught you how to stop, how to sit with your own thoughts without fear, how to listen to the silent language of your inner life. And so life passed quickly. Days blurred. Years slipped through your hands, not because you were careless, but because you were never shown another way to live. This message is not here to shock you. It is here to slow you down, to return you to yourself. The Stoics believed that most of human suffering does not come from life itself, but from the way we interpret life, from the inner storms we create when we forget where our true power lives. Your power does not live in control over the world. It lives in control over your inner response. Life changes from the inside first, always quietly, before the world ever notices. Think of a tree growing deep roots before it reaches for the sky. If the roots are weak, the first storm breaks it. If the roots are strong, storms become teachers instead of threats. You were never meant to build your life on constant reaction, anger reacting to anger, fear reacting to fear, comparison reacting to comparison. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself in moments of pressure that the mind becomes what it repeatedly dwells upon, not what it wishes for, not what it plans someday, but what it feeds, daily, quietly, relentlessly. If your inner world is rushed, your life will feel short. If your inner world is calm, time begins to stretch. Moments deepen. Life slows down without losing its meaning. This is how a single shift inside you can save years of your life, not by adding more achievements, but by removing unnecessary suffering. Most people age faster on the inside than on the outside. They carry resentments from decades ago. They relive conversations that already ended. They fight battles that no longer exist. Seneca warned that it is not that life is short, but that we waste much of it. We waste it by living everywhere except the present moment. We waste it by allowing our emotions to be dragged by events we cannot control. Stoic wisdom does not ask you to suppress emotions. It asks you to understand them, to see them clearly without letting them rule you. When you stop letting every thought pull you, something remarkable happens. You begin to feel space inside, a quiet distance between you and the chaos of the world. That distance is freedom. Imagine for a moment how much energy you have spent trying to change others, trying to be understood, trying to prove your worth, trying to force outcomes. What if that energy was returned to you? What if instead of reacting you responded with intention? Life begins to change the moment you stop demanding that it be different and start strengthening the one place you truly govern, your inner life. Patience is not weakness. It is strength that does not need to announce itself. Self-respect is not loud. It is calm boundaries enforced quietly. Resilience is not about never breaking. It is about breaking without losing your values. The Stoics practiced a kind of inner training, not in isolation from life, but in the middle of it. Traffic, conflict, loss, praise, failure. Every situation became a practice ground for character. You are not here to escape life. You are here to meet it with steadiness. When something goes wrong, your first instinct may be to ask, why is this happening to me? Stoic wisdom gently shifts the question to, how can I meet this with dignity? That single question changes everything, because dignity does not depend on outcomes. It depends on conduct. The world will test you, not to break you, but to reveal who you are becoming. And who you are becoming is shaped in moments so small they often go unnoticed. The pause before speaking, the breath before reacting, the decision to remain silent instead of sharp. These are the moments where years are saved, not because life becomes easier, but because you stop making it harder. You do not need to rush your healing. You do not need to win every argument. You do not need to carry the weight of what others refuse to understand. Your life is not measured by how much you endure, but by how consciously you live. And consciousness begins with slowing down. Right now, as you listen, something subtle may already be shifting, a soft awareness, a recognition, a quiet sense that there is another way to move through this world. That awareness is the beginning, not of motivation, but of mastery, not of excitement, but of clarity. And clarity, once found, does not shout, it whispers. If you want to improve, wrote Epictetus, be content to be thought foolish and stupid, meaning stop performing for approval, stop living for external validation, stand calmly in your own values, even if others do not understand them. This is the courage to stand alone. And standing alone does not mean isolation. It means independence of spirit. It means your peace is not rented from circumstances. It is owned. As we continue, we will move deeper into how this inner discipline reshapes your days, your relationships, and your sense of time itself. But before we go further, pause with me for a moment. If this video is creating an inner change within you, gently hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, comment "I will follow this in my life," and share this message with others who may need it. Now breathe again, slowly, because what comes next is not about adding pressure to your life. It is about removing what never belonged there in the first place. In the next moments, we will explore how emotional discipline does not harden you, but softens life around you, and how choosing calm again and again quietly rewrites your future. Settle again into your breath, not as an exercise, as a return. There is a quiet truth most people never discover. Life does not exhaust us. Our resistance to life does. The Stoics understood this deeply. They saw how much human energy is wasted fighting reality instead of strengthening the soul that must meet it. They noticed that the same event could break one person and sharpen another, not because the event was different, but because the inner posture was, you are not tired because life is demanding. You are tired because you have been carrying what was never yours to hold. Other people's expectations, other people's moods, other people's approval. When you release these, not dramatically, not angrily, but quietly, your nervous system begins to rest. And when the nervous system rests, time opens up. This is how years are returned to you. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that external things do not touch the soul unless the soul invites them in. Insults, delays, misunderstandings, loss, they knock. You decide whether to open the door. Most people leave the door wide open all the time. Everything enters. Noise becomes identity. Emotion becomes reaction. Reaction becomes habit. Stoic discipline gently closes that door. Not to shut out life, but to choose what is allowed to stay. Emotional discipline does not mean becoming cold. It means becoming clear. When you stop reacting immediately, something subtle happens. You begin to see your emotions as weather instead of commands. Anger passes like a storm. Fear rises and falls like a tide. Sadness moves through like a cloud. None of these define you unless you cling to them. Seneca wrote that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Think of how many moments of pain you have lived twice. Once in real time, then again in your mind, and again, and again. This repetition does not make you prepared. It makes you exhausted. Stoic wisdom invites you to meet pain once, fully, honestly, and then release it, not by denial, by acceptance. Acceptance does not mean approval. It means seeing clearly. When you stop arguing with reality, your inner muscles relax, and when they relax, your perception sharpens. You begin to notice things you missed before, small moments of peace, quiet gratitude, the dignity of simply doing your part well. This is how inner strength grows, not through force, through steadiness. There is a kind of strength that does not push. It stands, and the world feels it. People who are emotionally disciplined do not need to announce themselves. They do not chase validation. They do not explain themselves endlessly. They move slowly. They speak carefully. They listen more than they talk. Their presence alone calms rooms. This is not personality. This is practice. Each time you pause instead of reacting, you reclaim time. Each time you choose silence over impulse, you reclaim energy. Each time you respond with principle instead of emotion, you reclaim yourself. Independence begins here. Not independence from people, but from emotional dependency. You can care deeply without being controlled. You can love without losing yourself. You can stand with others without dissolving into them. Stoicism never taught isolation. It taught inner sovereignty. Imagine walking through life with your center intact. Praise does not inflate you. Criticism does not crush you. Success does not intoxicate you. Failure does not define you. This is freedom, and freedom stretches time. Because when you are no longer dragged by emotional extremes, your days stop disappearing. You remember them. You inhabit them. You live them. Think about how much time is lost to emotional recovery. Hours replaying words. Days lost to resentment. Weeks spent anxious about outcomes. What if those emotions still arose, but no longer ruled? That is what Stoic practice offers. Not a promise of ease, but a promise of clarity. Marcus Aurelius wrote his reflections not as philosophy for others, but as reminders to himself. That alone tells us something important. This path is not about perfection, it is about repetition. You will fail, you will react, you will forget, and then you will return. Return to the breath, return to the pause, return to your values. Self-respect grows in these returns. Every time you choose dignity over drama, something inside you stands taller. Every time you refuse to abandon yourself for approval, your inner voice grows stronger. Resilience is not built in comfort, it is built in moments when you could collapse into old habits, but choose a quieter strength instead. This strength does not rush, it does not need to be seen, it does not argue, it endures. And endurance is not about tolerating misery, it is about holding meaning steady while circumstances shift. You may begin to notice that some people resist your calm. They are used to your reactions. They are unsettled by your stillness. Let them be unsettled. Seneca warned against becoming a slave to the opinions of others. The crowd is loud, but rarely wise. Standing alone does not mean being lonely. It means being anchored. An anchored person can meet chaos without becoming chaotic. They can face loss without losing themselves. They can move through uncertainty without panic. This is what saves years. Not adding days to your life, but adding life to your days. And this change does not announce itself with fireworks. It feels like relief, like exhaling after holding your breath for years. As you listen now, you may feel a soft resistance inside, a part of you that wonders if this calm is possible in a demanding world. That doubt is natural. It is not an enemy, it is a doorway. Because the Stoics never waited for ideal conditions. They practiced in the middle of noise, power, loss, and pressure. You do not need a quieter world. You need a quieter inner response. And that is something you can practice anywhere. Before we move further, let us pause together again. If this video is creating an inner change within you, gently hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, comment "I will follow this in my life," and share this message with others who may need it. Now allow yourself to feel the stillness that follows commitment, because next we will explore how patience reshapes time itself, how slowing down internally creates momentum externally, and why the calm mind quietly outlives the restless one. Stay with this stillness a little longer. Do not rush past it. Stillness is not empty. It is full of information. Most people confuse patience with waiting, but patience is not passive. It is active restraint. It is strength that chooses timing over impulse. The Stoics saw impatience as a form of inner chaos, a refusal to accept the rhythm of life, a demand that reality move faster than wisdom allows. When you are impatient, time feels like an enemy. When you are patient, time becomes an ally. Think about how often urgency has led you into mistakes. Words spoken too quickly, decisions made too early, attachments formed before clarity arrived. Patience protects you from becoming your own obstacle. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that nature never rushes, yet everything is accomplished. Look at how seasons move. Nothing blooms before it is ready. Nothing resists its own timing. You are part of this same nature. When you slow down internally, your actions become cleaner. You waste less energy correcting yourself. You choose better battles. You notice when silence is more powerful than speech. This is how patience saves years of your life, not by delaying living, but by preventing regret. Regret is one of the most expensive emotions. It taxes the past, drains the present, and clouds the future. Patience dissolves regret before it forms. You begin to act only when your inner world is settled, and settled actions last longer. Resilience grows here as well. Not the loud kind that announces survival, but the quiet kind that endures without bitterness. Resilience is not about how much pain you can tolerate. It is about how little pain you allow to harden you. Seneca warned that adversity introduces us to ourselves. It shows us where we are rigid, where we are fragile, where we are wise, and where we still need practice. When hardship arrives, the impatient mind asks, "How do I escape this?" The Stoic mind asks, "How do I remain myself within this?" That question changes suffering into training. You stop seeing obstacles as interruptions. They become invitations, invitations to practice restraint, to practice humility, to practice endurance. Life will never stop testing you, but it does not test you to punish you. It tests you to refine you. The fire does not destroy gold, it reveals it, and so it is with character. Many people confuse resilience with toughness, but toughness cracks. Resilience bends and returns. You do not need to become emotionally armored. You need to become emotionally rooted. Rooted people feel deeply without drowning. They care without clinging. They engage without losing their center. This rootedness creates a different relationship with time. You stop rushing toward the future to escape the present. You stop clinging to the past to justify pain. You begin to live where your feet are. And when you live fully where you are, time expands. Minutes become meaningful. Conversations deepen. Silence becomes nourishing. This is why calm people seem to age slowly. They are not burning their life force on unnecessary inner battles. Standing alone becomes easier here too, because patience teaches you something essential. Not everyone needs to understand you. Not every silence needs to be filled. Not every opportunity needs to be taken. The Stoics valued self-command above admiration. Because admiration fades, character remains. You begin to respect yourself not for what you achieve, but for how you conduct yourself. Self-respect is built when you keep promises to your inner values, even when no one is watching. Especially when no one is watching. This self-respect becomes a quiet shield. You stop bargaining your peace for approval. You stop shrinking to be accepted. You stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. Standing alone no longer feels like isolation. It feels like alignment. And alignment creates a deep, steady confidence. Not the kind that compares, the kind that knows. When you know who you are, urgency fades. You do not need to rush into roles that are not yours. You do not need to chase timelines that were never meant for you. Your life begins to unfold with intention. This does not mean life becomes predictable. It means you become prepared. Prepared to lose without despair. Prepared to win without arrogance. Prepared to wait without resentment. This preparedness is freedom. Epictetus taught that freedom is not achieved by controlling what happens, but by controlling how you respond. That truth alone can save decades of unnecessary suffering. Imagine how much lighter your life would feel if you stopped resisting what is and focused on refining who you are. The world would still move, people would still disappoint, plans would still change, but you would remain intact. As you listen now, you may notice a quiet steadiness forming, a sense that you do not need to rush your transformation. That becoming takes time, and that time is not against you. This realization is powerful, because when you stop fighting time, time starts working with you. Before we continue, pause again with me. If this video is creating an inner change within you, gently hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, comment "I will follow this in my life," and share this message with others who may need it. Now return to your breath, because what comes next is about courage. Not loud courage, not performative courage, but the quiet courage required to live by principle in a world addicted to reaction. Remain with this sense of steadiness. Do not grasp it. Let it sit where it is. True courage rarely looks the way the world describes it. The world celebrates noise, speed, defiance, but Stoic courage is quieter. It is the courage to remain guided by principle when emotion demands surrender. Most people believe strength is proven in reaction, in sharp words, in fast decisions, in visible dominance. The Stoics understood something deeper, that real strength is shown in restraint. Restraint is not fear, it is wisdom choosing timing. When you can feel anger rise and choose silence, you are strong. When you can feel fear whisper and still act with integrity, you are strong. When you can be misunderstood and remain calm, you are strong. This kind of courage is invisible to the impatient eye, but it builds a life that endures. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that the best revenge is not to be like the one who harmed you. That single sentence carries a lifetime of discipline. How many years are lost trying to prove a point to someone who has already decided not to listen? How much energy is burned trying to correct perceptions that were never formed in good faith? Stoic courage steps away from these traps. It asks a simple question: is this within my control? If it is not, then dignity demands release. This does not mean passivity, it means precision. You begin to act only where your actions matter. You stop scattering your attention. You stop investing in outcomes that cost you your peace. Modern life rewards reaction, instant replies, instant opinions, instant outrage, but reaction keeps the nervous system in constant alert, and a constantly alert mind ages quickly. Inner order slows aging from the inside. When your thoughts are aligned, your emotions settle. When your emotions settle, your body follows. When your body rests, your life lengthens, not in years counted on a calendar, but in depth experienced each day. Emotional discipline becomes moral strength when you stop using feelings as justification for behavior. The Stoics never said emotions were wrong, they said emotions should not lead. Leadership begins inside. You do not need to suppress what you feel, you need to decide who is in command. If anger leads, destruction follows. If fear leads, avoidance follows. If desire leads, regret often follows. But when reason leads, guided by values, something rare emerges: consistency. You become predictable in the best way. People know where you stand. You know where you stand. This consistency builds trust with yourself. Self-trust is one of the greatest forms of independence. You no longer second-guess every decision. You no longer betray your values for comfort. You no longer abandon yourself to belong. Standing alone becomes an act of self-respect, not defiance. Seneca warned that the greatest obstacle to living is expectancy, which depends on tomorrow and wastes today. Courage is not waiting for perfect clarity, it is acting rightly with the clarity you have. This courage feels calm, not dramatic, it feels grounded, it feels steady, and this steadiness reshapes your relationships. You stop engaging in power struggles, you stop needing the last word, you stop explaining yourself endlessly. Not because you do not care, but because you care enough to protect your inner order. Some people will mistake your calm for distance. Others will mistake it for weakness. Let them. The Stoics did not live for applause, they lived for alignment. When you are aligned, your energy stops leaking. You wake with more presence. You move with less resistance. You rest without guilt. This is how life quietly changes, not through dramatic transformation, but through disciplined simplicity. You begin to notice that many conflicts dissolve when you stop feeding them, that many fears shrink when you stop rehearsing them, that many desires lose power when you stop obeying them immediately. This is not deprivation, it is liberation, and liberation restores time, because when your inner life is orderly, you move efficiently, you choose wisely, you recover quickly. Recovery is where years are saved. Most people do not burn out from work, they burn out from emotional chaos, from carrying unresolved tension, from living in constant anticipation, from replaying moments that cannot be changed. Stoic practice gently releases these burdens. You begin to understand that peace is not something you find after life settles, it is something you bring with you into unsettled life. This realization is modern medicine for an ancient soul. You may still feel pressure, you may still feel doubt, but you no longer feel consumed. Your inner flame burns steady instead of wild, and a steady flame lasts longer. As this understanding settles, notice how your breathing has slowed, how your thoughts have spaced out, how urgency has softened. This is not temporary, this is trainable. Before we move into the final movement of this reflection, pause with me once more. If this video is creating an inner change within you, gently hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, comment "I will follow this in my life," and share this message with others who may need it. Now remain still for a few breaths, because what comes next is not instruction, it is integration. You stop wasting it on resentment, on unnecessary fear, on emotional overreaction, on chasing approval that never satisfies. Instead, you invest in clarity, in dignity, in steadiness. Years are saved here, not because challenges disappear, but because recovery becomes faster. You no longer lose weeks to anger, months to disappointment, years to regret. You feel pain, yes, but you move through it cleanly. This is the gift of Stoic discipline. It does not promise happiness, it promises freedom from unnecessary suffering, and freedom is calmer than happiness. It lasts longer. As you move forward after this moment, remember that progress will be quiet. There may be no applause, no visible milestone, but one day you will notice something unmistakable. Life feels lighter, time feels fuller, you feel grounded, and that is enough. Before we end, pause once more, gently. If this video is creating an inner change within you, gently hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, comment "I will follow this in my life," and share this message with others who may need it. Now let this be the final breath. You do not leave here with instructions. You leave with permission. Permission to slow down without falling behind. Permission to be calm without being passive. Permission to stand alone without being lonely. You do not need to prove your strength. You only need to live it quietly. The Stoics believed that a well-lived life is not loud. It is aligned, so walk forward gently. Guard your inner world. Choose patience over urgency. Choose principle over impulse. Choose dignity over reaction. And as you do, life will not rush past you anymore. You will be inside it, fully, calmly, awake. This is how a few minutes of inner clarity can save years of your life, and it begins now.